Welcome back to another episode of Defend Philly. I'm Bonnie Hanamirian, and along with Lewis, we're here to break down the trade deadline, which is coming up. And so, Lewis, let's get right into it. Do you think the Flyers are going to sell? You think they're going to make any big moves? How are you feeling?
Yeah, so currently, it's really muddying the waters here because post Olympic break, the Flyers have been playing better than they had pre-deadline. Obviously, they dropped a bunch pre-deadline. Um, it's getting funky. They're currently 6 points out of a playoff spot. In the wild card, the second wild card spot, which is currently occupied by the Boston Bruins. I mean, I think going into the Olympic break, personally, I wanted to see the Flyers take a step forward and play a little better, just for my own mental health and sanity. But I think my gut is telling me, and I want to get your take on this too. I think my gut was kind of telling me that because they dropped so many games earlier in the season, especially kind of down the stretch in that January, early February part of the season, my gut was telling me the Flyers should just kind of give up on trying to win and focus a lot more on selling at the deadline, which sucks. And they kind of talk about the fact that they didn't want to do that. But I think in for the future of the team, I think just maybe not actively trying to lose, but making the team worse by selling and then in turn just losing games is obviously a lot better for, the draft place that the Flyers would get, the pick that they would get. But now all of a sudden they're winning games. So, I mean, they made the Rangers look like an all-star team, which isn't great. Still ended up getting the win, which, okay, I guess. And then kind of handled the Bruins yesterday. So,
Yeah.
did you want to see them continue to win? Would you rather them quasi tank? How do you view this?
I want to see them to continue to win. I think that my big picture is I'm looking towards the future.
Yeah.
I don't think they should tank completely because I think this is all part of the rebuild. This is all part of this, like, who we are now and the whole new era of who the Flyers are. So, not necessarily tank. I don't think that's my intention, but I also think that, like, selling at the deadline, fine if the price is right. That's my thing. Like you have time. Like for big names like Ristolainen, who's being thrown around as probably one of the more likely players to be traded. I think that with him specifically, like you know what you're getting and you know your worth, and you don't settle for anything less than a first round pick. Like for him, you can wait. You can wait till the offseason. I say like keep it, but look ahead to the future and make the best decisions that you can.
I think a first round pick just because of his injury potential, that might be really steep. But I mean he's good.
Yeah.
And how about his Olympics? I mean
His
that
Olympics,
drove.
his price right now is high. And there are teams like you look at the Canadians who need that, like that are actually playoff contenders.
Yeah.
No offense to the Flyers, but they're legit playoff contenders. And these teams
It's
are
just what
looking
it is.
for a right-handed defenseman, and he is that. Like his price right now is good. And so I think Briere should look at it and see that like he knows his worth, he can get the most out of it and not settle for a like a meh deal. Like you can get that for him right now because I mean, look, he won bronze. He was playing big high minutes. He's great. Like he was doing great. This is the time to go for it.
Yeah,
And teams are looking for a defender.
especially on a world stage too. I mean, I think Ristolainen's name's kind of been thrown out a few times in trade, like even over the years, just trade rumors. It's kind of seems like he's been in them before. But then to have an Olympic performance like he did, obviously, it's kind of a no-brainer,
Yeah.
drives the stock. Um,
Especially
but
on a big like pressure stage like that because he hasn't played in a Stanley Cup game his entire career, which I think is close to 800 games. It's either 700 or 800 games. And so he had this was the first time he was on that like big high pressure level and he played great. So like proving that he can do that and then giving him to a playoff team in exchange for a high price is perfect for us.
I think what that tells me, the fact that, many reports are saying Ristolainen's being shopped. I'm also seeing reports that Owen Tippett's being shopped. Maybe not being shopped, Owen Tippett. And I don't even know if either of them are being shopped, but the Flyers are clearly taking calls on both of them because their names have been around for, the past week or so. Deadline's coming up. To me, hearing all of that, especially with those two players, feels like the Flyers are going to sell at the deadline because those two guys are not. And look, I have had problems with Owen Tippett all season, even actually for a while now. I haven't been the biggest Owen Tippett fan. I think, and I know you're smiling because we talk about it off the air.
I love Owen
Um,
Tippett.
I know you do, and I love the idea of Owen Tippett if he could actually put it all together. He just hasn't proven that he can put it together. And that was kind of the conversation when he was in Florida as well. I mean, we got him in the Giroux trade, and I read a cool article. I think it was from Broad Street Hockey. I don't remember who wrote it. This was weeks and weeks ago, talking about when Tippett got to Philadelphia, again, in the Giroux trade, there was a lot of pressure put on him to kind of be the next Claude Giroux and kind of fill those shoes because, you're a guy getting traded for Claude Giroux, who's
Yeah.
one of the greatest Flyers maybe ever. And I know some people don't believe that, but to me personally, I loved Claude Giroux, and he was
He was,
a
yeah, we
fabulous
grew up
player.
with him
Yeah, well, that
too.
too.
Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
he was great.
Claude Giroux, the captain.
Yeah,
I loved Giroux, and obviously he was a great player, and
great
his
player.
career's tapered off a little bit, but
His car's been stolen. It's a whole thing now.
yeah, well,
Twice.
he's had some run-ins with the law, I think, a few times. Um, but look, I love Giroux, but Owen Tippett, when he got here, the expectations were that he would kind of fill those shoes, and he hasn't. He has the potential to. He is the skill set. You can see it when he plays the game.
He
His
has it. He
raw
just can't put it
skill,
all together
right,
consistently, and
right,
consistency is the biggest thing with him.
right,
It's like we see little spurts of like, wow, like
right,
he plays really well. Like the hat trick, like he plays really well. And then you see like five bad games and then a good game and then a bad game. And so that
right,
consistency is hard. And
right.
I've been reading that Boston specifically has been calling the Flyers about Tippett. The Flyers aren't shopping. They're not really looking to get rid of him, but the Bruins have had multiple calls inquiring about him. And I could see that working out.
This is kind of like a this is it's not the same at all. It is not the same at all because I was gonna equate this to like an AJ Brown, Howie Roseman taking calls on AJ Brown. AJ Brown's an elite wide receiver, maybe one of the best in the game. Owen Tippett's nowhere near one of the best players in the game. However, this is a situation where obviously the whole AJ Brown situation, he seems like he doesn't want to be in Philadelphia. Howie Roseman and the Eagles are saying we're not just going to trade a guy like that, blah, blah, obviously trying to pump his stock up. But there was an interesting interview with Howie Roseman, and someone said, I think it was Mike Florio. Mike Florio said, what if you get a call on about AJ Brown? Are you going to just hang up the phone? And Howie Roseman said, I would never hang up the phone on anyone calling about anybody. So, because he said, as a GM, your job is to listen. And he said, if somebody just blows you away with an offer, you can't just hang up the phone.
No.
So, I think this is an instance where you're right. I don't think the Flyers are necessarily shopping them because they talked about the fact that they are, and I said that earlier, I don't think they're shopping guys out. But they have
They're taking calls.
they're taking calls. They've
Yeah.
consistently said that they don't want to sell at the deadline, but it would be malpractice if somebody wants to offer a first round pick for Owen Tippett for Danny Briere, just be like, nope,
Yeah, no, no.
malpractice.
They're
So
definitely
they should be
taking
taking
calls.
calls.
Yes, and I think that with all the like noise around it, there's definitely going to be a move. My hope is that with Ristolainen specifically, if there is a move, if you do decide to sell, you sell for a steep price or an
Yes.
accurate price because right now his stock is high, like you said. And right
Honestly,
now is the time.
yeah, and I was reading another article, and it linked me to an ESPN article from this is Greg Wyshynski. um, from ESPN. This was a couple days ago, but he put a trade board together, and the elite forwards with term tier is the way he's broken down some of these, like, elite forwards that are going to be free agents, elite forwards with term tier, like elite defensemen.
Yep.
Well, at the bottom, and it's not in any sort of order, but on this list here, Owen Tippett he considers an elite forward with term tier, because I got to remind myself, Owen Tippett's he's got a long time left on his deal.
Yeah.
Let's see for sure.
It's also important to note that Risto is one of the best defensemen that is out there in the trade
For sure.
discussion. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
he is for sure. So that is the time to get that market up,
Yeah.
and that's the time to go make a deal.
Tippett's still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. He'll be a UFA in 2032. So he's got 6, 7 years left on his deal.
Okay,
I
and then
mean,
Ristolainen has 1 year left. He's 31. He's injury prone. We've seen so many season-ending injuries. We can't really. I'm at the point
Wyshynski,
where I'm like,
same. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
go ahead.
This same article, Wyshynski says elite defenseman with term tier, Rasmus Ristolainen.
Yeah.
So, look, to me personally, do I want the Flyers to be in a position where they have to be selling? No, of course not. I'd like them to be in a playoff conversation. And, like, again, technically, actually at this point, I'm probably going to say I've been saying that it feels like they're out of the playoff picture. However, statistically, it was, like, numbers wise, it wasn't. I think at this point it's going to be hard to make up that 6-point gap.
It's every
I
year.
guess unless they get completely hot. I mean, they've won. I know.
It's this
It's
January,
just what it
February
is.
stretch
It's
that
in
really
purgatory.
upsets me because everyone gets really excited in the beginning, right? Like it's new, it's fresh, we're back in hockey. And this January, February, they cannot stay consistent and they drop a bunch of games and then can't make it up. So that's the big thing for me is I get so frustrated with this like middle of the season stretch every single time. And the other thing is with Risto, like I hear what you're saying about they're gonna probably sell, but my big thing is I'm like, if you're gonna sell, you have no pressure to get rid of anyone. You
Yeah.
don't, we obviously need a number one center, fine, but we don't need a goaltender right now. Vladar has been amazing.
Yeah.
We do not need a goaltender. So we are not actively like, we do obviously need a center, but there isn't a huge gap that needs to be filled by the deadline. So I really think the biggest thing now is just like making smart trades and not like jumping at the first one, right? Because
Yeah.
you have the upper hand right now. You have a defender who just played on the national stage
It's
or
leverage.
global stage, and you have like you can be patient and listen and wait. There's no pressure on you right
It's
now.
leverage.
Yes,
It's
they have
leverage.
leverage. Yes.
So you're right. I mean, they shouldn't just be they shouldn't just be jumping on the first. And I don't think they are, because I mean, Ristolainen's name's been floating for a little while now. I think they've been taking calls on Risto
Years.
for well, that too. But I mean, even just confined to this season, they've been taking calls on him. So I don't think I do think Danny Briere is kind of just watching. They're not. I don't think Danny Briere is just gonna say, sure, here, have Rasmus Ristolainen. Here's my other question. This is kind of a little bit off the beaten path of where we're going. If Danny Briere, and Danny's done a pretty look, like people are freaking out about Briere and Jonesy, and they're saying they need to fire them and blah blah. And I'm gonna leave Rick Tocchet out of it. I've heard a million people fire Danny Briere, fire Keith Jones. They're doing a garbage job. Blah, blah. First of all, no. And actually, I was talking to Costa from Montreal Puck Talk or Montreal Hockey Talk, or sorry, geez, that was the old name, Puck Talk Montreal. He had a podcast called Hockey Talk, Montreal Hockey Talk, but now it's called Puck Talk Montreal, rebranded. But we were talking about, he was talking about Danny Briere, and he was asking me questions about him, and one of the answers I gave was, I think in Philadelphia, because the Flyers fans have been starved for so long for something to happen, they want everything to happen right now. They want Matvei Michkov to be good now, right now. We need him to be good right now. And I think that also carries over into the GM situation and the front office. Danny Briere has only been in the front office for 3 years now. I think it's been 3 or 4 years. So, and it's taken a second for the wheels to start turning. The big splash first, like Danny Briere stamped deal was that Zegras trade. I mean, that was a fleecing of the Anaheim Ducks. A
Hmm.
fourth, a sixth, and
Yep.
Ryan Paling or whatever it was, two low round
Yep.
picks and a fourth round center or
Yeah.
fourth line center for Trevor Zegras,
Trevor
who
Zegras.
has been fantastic and who has an ultra high ceiling. I mean, that is just good GM work.
Yes.
So to me, I think Danny just needed a second to get the wheels turning. And so I'll be very interested to see if they end up shipping Tippett out, and if they ship Ristolainen out, if they get like, I mean, and then again, we'll have to evaluate the deal if they happen, if either of them happen. Um, but I'll be interested to see how the conversation revolves around Danny Briere and Keith Jones, if and when Owen Tippett and Rasmus Ristolainen get traded, because if they're good trades, I just think that's another feather in Danny's cap, and he would be putting the organization in a better spot.
Yeah.
Again, we don't want to be selling at the deadline, but at this point, in order to build for the future, I think you gotta. So if they
Yeah.
get picks for Tippett and Rasmus Ristolainen, I don't think people can be mad at Danny. I don't know if they're
No, and
high
the
picks.
other big thing about this whole thing is I think Kevin Kurtz of The Athletic was saying that Jonesy and Briere, they're looking for how these players impact on and off the ice. They're
Sure.
looking into that locker room dynamic as well. They're looking into fitting. They're not just making a deal and ignoring that
Right.
aspect. They know how much that plays a role because they've both been in that locker room. So that's another big part of it, which is why we can get a little bit into specific trades. I'd love to see Mason Lohrei for Owen Tippett. I think that would be such an interesting deal, but if that happens, Ristolainen has to go as well.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Mason Lohrei fan. I know. Well, give your rationale as to why you think Mason Lohrei would fit.
I think Mason Lohrei would fit on the ice specifically because he's big. He would take over Emil Andre's spot, and I think he's a more physical player, and I think that's what we kind of need.
Yeah, 6'5", 218. Hard to.
6'5"
It's not hard to
compared
shake
to
a
Emil
stick at that.
Andre's 5'9",
5'10" or whatever. Yeah, I mean,
9. Yeah, he's not.
I mean, I get it. I understand it. I just, I've never been a huge fan of him. And I'm trying to find. I had his.
Because
Um,
the Flyers took him a couple picks right before Lohrei.
they took Andre.
Hmm.
Oh, I don't think to be honest, I don't think I knew that. So that's a good pull
Three,
by you.
like 3 or 4 picks before.
So he was there. So he was
He was
on the
there.
board.
He was there.
Flyers could have drafted him.
Hmm.
I look. I mean, I of course I don't have his defensive numbers up, but just from what I know about him, it's like I
So,
don't
is that on the ice or is that biased because he's Boston?
know. Well, on the ice, I don't.
Okay, there we go.
Like, look, if the Flyers could have gotten Zdeno Chara, like, you know, I would have taken
Yes,
Zdeno Chara.
yes.
I don't care about
Yeah.
the Boston
Well,
thing.
Laura has 69 points in 171 games.
Yeah,
I
so
think
not
I don't have
awesome.
not awesome, but I could see it.
Yeah, 172
He
games.
doesn't take too much cap hit. I think he's 3.2 million.
3.2 million.
Yep. Yep. And then 2027 RFA.
Yeah, you'd have to get him to re-sign. I mean, I don't know. That
But
doesn't
also, you'd have to get him to re-sign, okay, or doesn't work out, you're out of it.
and just ship. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but and the cap hit's not that bad. Like, it would be different if it was like a huge cap hit for like a
No.
mid player, like someone who's just like eh. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't hate it. I've also seen this kid Matthew Pachwa.
Hmm.
I don't think I'm sure I butchered that. He's on an $870,000 cap hit, so he's on a rookie contract, I believe. He's been playing. I mean, he's been with the P Bruins for most of this season. He found a little bit of action last year with actually in the year before with the Bruins, 33 games in
69
each of
game.
those seasons.
Yeah, so
Um,
39 total games, 27 total points. Yeah, I've seen him too. He's interesting. 22-year-old.
yeah, young guy. I have a friend who works for the Bruins. I haven't really asked a whole lot about him. But and this is I don't know why I'm not she's not giving me insider info, so I don't have to like keep her name secret. But and I'm not gonna say her name, but I think she has a good feeling about just him as a player. Obviously, as a young player, that seems like they see maybe something in him in the Bruins organization. Might be interesting if he comes here, but I don't know. I'm just I understand that we're not looking for guys that are like moving the needle right now. That's going to come in the. I mean, if the Flyers are going to sell, that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for guys that are going to just be world beaters, changing the organization. That's going to come in the draft, and that's going to come in future free agent markets because the 2026 free agent market is completely dried up. Um, you know that was during the Flyers Wives Carnival when they were when there was that whole mess with
Mhm.
Danny and Jonesy and Hilferty.
Yeah.
Um, they were talking about the fact that we were really setting our sights on the 2026 free agent market, and then all of a sudden it dried up, and so they're going to have to adapt, which is fine.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams were thinking that, but I don't know. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting. I think the fact that the Flyers have been winning it the
The
past
fact
three
that they
games, so
ended the
since the
Bruins,
Olympic break.
the fact that they ended the Bruins 8-game point streak is insane.
Yeah, good. Always good.
Insane.
Always good.
Always.
Always fine with that. Um, the fact that they've won 2 of 3 games since the Olympic break ended, very small sample size, but
Mhm.
Matvey Michkov seems like he's turned it on. Obviously, had a really big performance against the Rangers. I didn't get a great chance to watch all of the game against the Bruins, but Vladar obviously looked unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Um,
Yeah. So this team really, it's going to be interesting to see what happens at the end
yeah, I
as
mean,
we approach the trade deadline.
yeah, I really do think they're still going to sell, and they still probably should be thinking about selling. But the fact that they're winning all these games, I know in the locker room they still want to be winning. And
Yes.
obviously Rick Tocchet wants to win because they didn't bring him here to lose. They brought him here to win.
Yep.
So, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see.
Weird.
We'll see. Well, this has been another great episode of Defend Philly. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and our website,
Our
and watch all the videos
website,
on YouTube.
and we're still working on getting everything on Spotify.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
I don't even know
Tune
if we've
in.
changed it recently, but okay.
Tune
Working
in
on it.
next week. We'll be back.